Governor Markell, thank you for your 8 years of service to our great state and your leadership and involvement with the Chamber. This will be Jack's last annual dinner as governor, but we fully expect that he will attend again in the future. Governor Markell, please come to the stage, and we'll be pleased to stand and greet our governor, Governor Jack Markell.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you, Rich. Thank you, everybody. I've had a lot of people come up to me tonight saying I've never looked so happy. In fact, I've loved these last 8 years, but I feel pretty good. But I do want to thank Rich and the Chamber and the entire business community for all the work that we have done together over these last 8 years. You all have been incredibly helpful, a real partner when it comes to our workforce development improvement efforts. You've been so helpful when it has come to making our tax code fair, including last year's passage of the Competes Act and the Commitment to Innovation Act, as well as improving our research and development tax credit so it's now one of the very best in the country. And you've also been so helpful in our efforts around regulatory reform, so we have smarter and fewer regulations and a requirement to look more closely at the impact, particularly on small business, of any new regulations that are proposed. We have made a lot of progress together over these past 8 years, with private investment from business owners like you leading the way, and with the government doing what we can to help amplify and to enhance these efforts. And the data proves the success. I've got 4 slides that I want to show you real quickly. That's not one of them. That's the first one. The blue line is number of jobs in Delaware. The yellow line is our state's unemployment rate. Now, it is true, if you look around 2008, which happens to be right when I was elected, although I like to think there was not a causation effect here, we were in the process of shedding tens of thousands of jobs, and our unemployment rate skyrocketed. Now, what you can see from the peak is the unemployment rate is now down to 4.3%. I'm going to come back to the unemployment rate in just a moment. And the number of jobs, if you see the blue line and you see the dotted line on the right where they intersect, that's when Delaware recaptured all the jobs that we had lost in the Great Recession. And to the right of that is job creation since then. So you can see we've had very good progress these last couple of years. Now, it's one thing to say things have gotten better since the recession, but you would think that's probably true in most cases. So what's really, I think, relevant is how have we done compared to other states in the region and to the country as a whole. And so this is since 2010. This is job growth in Delaware compared to the U.S. as a whole and compared to other states in the region. And as you can see, we have done very, very well. And these are the numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So I think in terms of job growth, looking pretty good. Let's go to the next slide. Now, I said a moment ago I was going to come back to the unemployment rate. There's a dirty little secret about the unemployment rate, which is you can see an improvement in the unemployment rate even in a lousy economy. Because if people stop looking for jobs and they get discouraged and they drop out of the workforce, the unemployment rate comes down. But what you see in the case of Delaware, our unemployment rate has come down, as we saw a moment ago, with a significant increase in jobs. But also, this slide is a measure of the growth rate in labor force participation. That is a reflection of how many people are getting into the workforce. And that line all the way on the left, the yellow one, is Delaware. You see almost all the other states are negative. Ours is positive. So I think it's really important to think about that in the context of an unemployment rate that has come down. And one last slide is around wages. A lot of conversations about, okay, well, what about the wages? What about the jobs that are being created? What kind of jobs are they? And if you look at this slide, in particular, toward the bottom, the growth in private sector wages for the last couple of years has been the best in the nation. So I think that when you think about our job growth, the reduction in unemployment, the improvement in the labor force participation rate, and wages, it's a pretty good story to tell, and I want to thank all of you for making that happen. Now, it's true that that success has not been without challenges, and I am pleased to say that we have come together to address those challenges. And I know you'll be hearing a little bit later from our great keynote speaker, Ed Breen, and I want to thank him for his commitment to Delaware. And I can tell you, a year ago at this meeting, at this dinner, there was a lot of angst, there was a lot of uncertainty, there was a lot of concern in the aftermath of the announcement of the cuts, in the aftermath of the announcement of the merger with Dow, and then the splitting into the three companies. But we proved, as Delaware always proved, that we are at our best when we come together, we roll up our sleeves, we check our egos at the door, and we figure a path out. And look where we are now. 2 out of the 3 headquarters are going to be right here in Delaware. And thanks to the great leadership of Ed Breen, his team at DuPont, great cooperation with our institutions of higher education as well, we are working hard to tap into the talents of many of the DuPonters who left service to that company. Chemours was another challenge. We all wondered whether we would be able to retain those high-quality jobs after the company was spun out from DuPont. And a few months ago, the company told us, Mark Vignano told us, that they would be staying in Wilmington. And just this afternoon, Chemours announced that they'll be keeping their headquarters in the historic DuPont building in downtown Wilmington. Now, this decision was accompanied by an announcement that not only will they be staying, but they're going to be selling the building to the Buccini-Poland Group. And BPG and its tenants are going to make a significant investment in the renovation and the redevelopment of that historic building's residential, retail, and office spaces, and in so doing will transform it into really a stunning centerpiece of downtown Wilmington. And I'd ask you now to join me in thanking both Mark Vignano and the team from Chemours and Chris Buccini and the team from BPG for all that they're doing. So there is no question that even in dark times, as we saw in the Great Recession and the years following, so long as we do what we do in Delaware, which is we figure out ways to work together, we keep the focus where the focus ought to be, we can make progress. And I am incredibly grateful to all of you for what you've done to make that possible. I'm also so bullish about the future here in our state. As we transition to a new administration, I am confident that this spirit of collaboration will continue and that we will continue to work together to achieve great things. And I am particularly bullish because next week we will be inaugurating a new governor in Delaware who comes to this job with a phenomenal background. John Carney, who understands state government so well, has been a fantastic member of Congress. It has been really difficult these last 6 years as a Democrat in the House of Representatives to get anything done. But if you look at the record, I am certain that John Carney, only with 6 years of experience in the minority in the House, has been able to get great things done around job creation for Delaware and for the country. And to have somebody of his caliber who understands Delaware as well as he does and who is as passionate about Delaware as he is, we are in great hands indeed. So I am so hopeful, so optimistic, so confident. And it is my most sincere wish that John Carney will be the best governor Delaware has ever had. And I mean that. And so I ask you to join me now in welcoming to the stage somebody who for the next 7 days will be the governor-elect, and 1 day later, he will be the governor of Delaware, John Carney.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor Markell, to Rich, and to the board, and to Ed Marine, and to everybody who's here. I was tempted, as the governor was talking about all those announcements with Camorra staying and the thing on the Rodney Square and the Bikini Pond group, of taking a page out of our president-elect's playbook and take credit for it. But after that, salutation, I don't know how I could. The fact of the matter is I'm unemployed right now. I went down last week to celebrate Lisa Blunt Rochester's swearing in. This woman is special. I'm going to tell you, the first member of Congress from Delaware who we will call Congresswoman. You saw her on the stage tonight. She's going to do an incredible job, but she's going to need your help. It's going to be a very difficult time in Washington, as it was during my 6 years there. And I got great guidance and help from Rich and the Chamber on what we needed to do to grow jobs across our country and here in the state of Delaware. And so she's going to need your help as well, so please make it available to her. The governor showed that graph. I'm learning that being governor is a hard job no matter what the circumstances, a difficult job. Governor Markell came in at a time when our economy was at about the lowest ebb that it's been in our lifetime. We were losing jobs by the thousands on a monthly basis. We lost 2 of our large auto manufacturing facilities during his first few months. And he has done just an extraordinary job leading our state, working with all of you, rebuilding our economy, and putting us today poised to do as well as we've ever done. And Jack, we all owe you a debt of gratitude for your tremendous work. The announcement about Camorra staying on Rodney Square and having a new building there at the pond is just so exciting, because one of the most important things, maybe the most important thing the next governor and the next mayor have to deal with, is to reinvigorate our city. Because as goes the city of Wilmington, so goes the state of Delaware. It is the commercial center of our state. We need to rebuild our city, and that is a great thing happening on Rodney Square. Ed, it's great to have you here this evening. We look forward to your remarks. I hope you have an exciting announcement as well. We're looking forward to that. He said we do. He said we do. Because DuPont has been the cornerstone of our economy for over 200 years, and I know you know that. The team that we put on the field to try to convince you and the board to bring those 2 headquarters, the agricultural headquarters and the specialty projects here to Delaware, worked so hard to put our best foot forward. And we knew this, but I think we learned more than ever that we are competing to win every single day. And we're not just competing with countries around the world, we're competing with states here in the region and across the country. And if I don't say so myself, I think we did a pretty good job putting our best foot forward. We have to have the most competitive tax and regulatory environment. We have to have the best schools. We have to have the strongest infrastructure. We just have to be the best. And it's going to take all of us to make that happen. Our economy's in an incredible transition. Jack got the brunt of it. You might remember, we kind of went toe-to-toe there leading up to 2008. There were days after that election where I kind of smiled and said, thank God, Jack has to deal with these. Now I come in and we have, a $350 million deficit, so we're working on that. But I am more optimistic than ever that we can compete here in our state. I've seen politics for 6 years that doesn't work, where you're not solving the problems. We don't approach problems like that in our state. We have our differences. We're Democrats and Republicans, we do. have our strong differences about how do you approach these problems. But at the end of the day, we're really always looking for the solutions to the problem and not how do we score political points on either side of the aisle. And that's going to be our strength moving forward. We've got to do things differently. My team and I have been working with Bob and the people at the round table in the chamber on a new approach to economic development, a partnership between the private sector and government. And I'm encouraged by the discussions that we have had so far. And I'm going to delay naming a director of the Economic Development Office until we see all of that through. Because at the end of the day, if we're going to compete, if we're going to build the strongest economy that we can and create jobs, allow all of you to create jobs and thrive in that environment, we've got to work together. And I can't wait for next Tuesday to get back on the payroll somewhere. No, seriously, as I've worked my way through government, I used to always say to myself, if I was in charge, I wouldn't do it that way. I'd do it this way. And I said it to one of my staff members the other day, and he turned to me and said, next Tuesday, you're in charge. Actually, I may be the governor-elect, I may be governor next Tuesday, but the only way we can be successful is if all of us work together. And I look forward to doing just that. Thank you very much.